everyone! Today I wanted to talk about the upside of rejection. Let me just start off by saying I know rejection stinks and it's not fun. It feels terrible. Whether it's a professional rejection or a personal rejection, it can be really heartbreaking sometimes and be difficult to recover from. Today I'm going to talk about professional rejection because it's something that we face a lot as musicians. I'm going to tell you 3 different times in my life that I faced a difficult rejection and how I think those ended up being pivotal points in my life. My first rejection as a flutist was when I was in the 8th grade and I'd been playing flute for about a year. My mom heard about the Hawaii Youth Symphony and thought that I should audition, so I did, but I didn't get in. At that point, being a flute player wasn't a major part of my identity like it is now. So it was a bummer, but I don't think I really thought about it that much until the next year when my mom told me to audition again and I was like, I think I'm good. I think she sort of forced me to take it anyway, and I'm really glad actually that she did, because I did end up getting into the Youth Symphony for my freshman year of high school, and doing the rehearsals and concerts was a major part of my musical experience in high school. The next major phase of rejection I went through was during my first couple of years of undergrad. I went to Indiana University as a pre-music major, so I wasn't accepted into the School of Music when I entered as a freshman, and I auditioned every semester for my freshman and sophomore years and was never accepted into the School of Music. This was after sort of ascending the musical ranks in Hawaii, and at this point I was more invested in my flute playing and it was a larger part of my identity. I don't think I actually called myself a flutist yet then, but I did definitely identify as a flute player. This was a really painful set of rejections that I had, and I think it sort of colored my perception of myself for probably the next 10 years or so. My mind already had a general tendency to think that I wasn't good enough, and having those rejections just sort of validated that in my mind. Having that external source that seemed like it was telling me that I wasn't good enough really made me believe that at the time. When I transferred for my junior year from IU to UNT, I was really heartbroken and discouraged. The thing is that even though I felt so bad about myself in a lot of different ways at that time, I still somehow found the conviction to continue on as a flutist. It was a lot of work for me to apply to school and audition while I was a sophomore in college, but when I realized that the choice was between transferring or changing my major, it wasn't really a choice to me. I already knew that I was going to transfer. At the time, I also had a boyfriend that I really liked, and ultimately I had to make the decision that I was going to move away from him so that I could continue my flute studies. Even amidst all of that rejection and then a very painful breakup, I never actually questioned if transferring was the right decision. So the upside of all of that rejection is that having to make a tough decision about whether or not to continue on as a flutist ultimately gave me a lot more conviction about my path. Even though it did cause me a lot of insecurities for a long time, but I think that those insecurities were already there before I was ever a flutist. Having the rejection as a flutist just sort of validated those negative thoughts in my mind. Now let's talk about the repeated rejections of professional orchestra auditions. I've probably had about 30 or more rejections. I've taken about 20 live auditions, but there were a bunch of auditions that I applied and wasn't even invited. And the one time I did advance to the semifinal round, I was actually genuinely surprised. I was kind of like, are you sure? Rejection is almost mundane to me now. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I have really adjusted my expectations and also developed a wider view on the whole process so that each individual rejection doesn't really sting anymore. The very, very best part about experiencing all of this rejection is that once I got over my fear of rejection, I really wasn't afraid of anything anymore. Again, it's not that it doesn't bother me anymore because I still don't like it. It just doesn't stop me from trying anymore like I almost did when I was in 8th grade. I often look back at my time at IU now and realize how my experience there really prepared me for the orchestra audition process. It's kind of a weird way to learn this really important lesson, but I didn't expect quick success anymore, and I was prepared for extended periods of rejection, but also knew that I would still have the conviction to continue. For me personally, the only way I was able to sort of destigmatize rejection and make it something that I was no longer afraid of was to just experience it over and over and over. I think I almost practiced getting rejected, and now I'm much better at it. My biggest message is that yes, rejection is a form of feedback, but it's not necessarily telling you that you're on the wrong path. It may just be telling you that you need to slow down a little bit and maybe acquire a few more skills before you can move on to the next stage of your development. Feel free to share your personal stories of rejection in the comments below and what you've gained from the experience. I hope that we can all be less ashamed of our experiences with rejection and appreciate instead the strength that we can all find within ourselves. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to keep seeing my YouTube videos. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye!